you won't beat the algorithm. In terms of TikTok, if I post a video that's in any way critical of the Zionist entity, the video will get 0 views. I mean 0 views. So I never remember actually choosing to use political satire as opposed to any other form of content. I had been a political satirist anyway. I'd always done that type of comedy, and when the genocide began, I suppose I found I had already made comedy sketches about Palestine, even though that sounds like a strange thing to say, but I'd made satirical content on the hypocrisy around Palestine. And actually I was reluctant to use comedy at all at the start of the genocide because the situation was so horrific. But a lot of my Palestinian friends in Ireland told me and encouraged me to start using satire because it would obviously not be directed towards Palestinian victims, but that satire would play a really important role in upending and undermining Israeli and US propaganda, which thankfully turned out to be the case. I think to sum up why political satire is so important, particularly in this moment right now, it's that the likes of the Israelis like to tell ordinary people that they shouldn't get involved in the debates around Palestine and Israel because the topic is too nuanced. You would have to have a degree in political science to understand it. And what's great about satire is it makes these supposedly nuanced, difficult concepts really, really understandable, because I can, make this long conflict, I can make it down to just me and myself living in a house in Cork. So it's ridiculous, it's surreal, but it also has this huge power to reach the masses in a way that they just won't listen to political commentaries and speeches. They won't maybe read books or articles to the same extent that they will consume comedy, particularly online. So it's become a vital part of the overall resistance, I think. I mean, there have been limitations to what people like me have done, and I think it's very important to say that. I've had an amazing experience at this conference, but I do notice that there isn't enough focus, in my opinion, on the fact that the slaughter is still ongoing. So people like me, I think, have helped to make more people aware of what's going on in Palestine, the absolute horrors of what's going on in Palestine. Has that resulted in much political change? Not really. That's the thing. And personally, my belief, I'm a revolutionary at heart. I believe that the people have to rise up against governments in order to see any kind of change. So there are limitations to what the truth tellers and the journalists and the satirists can do. We're at a moment now where we have to admit that we've kind of plateaued in terms of the movement, and that to continue making satire, I'm not sure how many new people we're bringing in. Now the focus has to go beyond educating people into making people aware that they can enact change if they gather together, if they strategize, if they campaign, if they organize, and if they take direct action. And in my case, I've had my TikTok taken down, my Instagram is banned for good. I've been told somebody quite high up in Meta from the inside has told me that I will never get the account back. And that to me is an illustration that satire is getting to people. It's so useful that they have to literally cancel it. It's good old-fashioned censorship, which is a big part of Western culture. Whenever we don't really want something to be spoken about that challenges us in the West, we like to shut it down. I believe that satire has a place in the overall battle. I could never compare what I'm doing from the safety of my own home in Ireland largely to what the journalists on the ground in Gaza are doing. I kind of see myself as a complementary tool or skill to what those guys are doing. They're on a different level completely. I don't think I will ever understand. I'd like to consider myself a steadfast ally to the Palestinian cause, and I'm maybe willing to do above average for what a Westerner is willing to do, but I would never ever compare myself to journalists on the ground who are literally giving their lives and spilling their blood for this cause. But I think it's about working together without being cheesy. I've got a role to play, the journalists have got a role to play, and most importantly, the political actors, people with actual real power, they've got a role to play. States have got a role to play. A lot of countries like to say, we've done what we can, there's nothing more we can do, and they throw their hands in the air. Of course there's more you can do. There's always more you can do if people are continuing to be slaughtered. I don't think this is a moment for anyone to sit down and say, you did good, I did good. No one's done good enough, because people are still being slaughtered every day, which is shameful, and it's a shame on all of us. it's much stronger than limiting, I have to say, and I think people need to be aware you won't beat the algorithms. So at this moment in time, I have been taken off Instagram. I'm not going to be back on there. In terms of TikTok, if I post a video that's in any way critical of the Zionist entity, the video will get 0 views. I mean 0 views. So I think there was a moment early on in the genocide where I was making content, other people were making content, and empire, the US and the Israeli empire had left the gate open, and we were running through the gate with all this content. We were getting hundreds of thousands of followers, and now they've realized that that was a massive mistake and they're shutting that down. So there's no tricks or trades around the algorithm thing. There's an absolute war going on at the moment, and that's why US and Israeli billionaires have bought up TikTok and are banning people like me, because we've been too effective.